Good evening. I'm KHU11 meteorologist Chris Ramirez, and here's a look at our tropics update. We are tracking two systems that's nearing the U.S. We have Hurricane Humberto and Tropical Depression 9. They're both churning over the Atlantic and the Caribbean. And so as we look at both of those systems, a closer look at that. Humberto is a Category 5 hurricane. You have Tropical Depression 9 that's currently over Cuba in the Bahamas. That is struggling to maintain organization as those land masses are just making it hard to form that organized low as it continues its movement up towards the north. You have a high pressure system off towards the mid-Atlantic. That's going to eventually carry Humberto northward. But as you take a closer look at Humberto, it is a Category 5 hurricane. Just take a look at that eye. A textbook hurricane satellite imagery right there with the 4 p.m. advisory. Winds are at 160 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 10 miles an hour. And this system is expected to continue its northern track, remaining over open water. But looking at Tropical Depression 9, very disorganized. You're just able to see just not much organization. Still a tropical depression right now with the winds at 35 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 5 miles an hour. And like I said, you have the land masses, the islands that are just really causing that system to form into a tropical storm as it moves north. So as we look at Hurricane Humberto, the forecasted track of this system, it's going to continue its movement northward, eventually weakening into a Category 4 hurricane by Monday evening with 145 mile an hour winds. It might near the island of Bermuda as a Category 3 hurricane, but that's remaining over open water, moving off towards the north, not posing a threat to the U.S. However, it's Tropical Depression 9 that we're very closely keeping an eye on. This is not going to threaten the Gulf or southeast Texas, but our neighbors off along the East Coast and the Carolinas are going to have to watch this system really closely because the latest forecast track has this strengthening to a tropical storm once it moves into the northern Bahamas and then eventually strengthening to a Category 1 hurricane just off the coast of the Carolinas. And there's a lot of uncertainty with this system as it's going to remain off the U.S. coast. So there is the likelihood that this could stall and still continue to bring some rain off into the Carolinas and portions of the southeast U.S. So as we look at the future track models, you're able to see both of those systems come in close contact with each other. But usually what ends up happening is that since Humberto is a little bit more of a powerful storm, that could alter that track of Tropical Depression 9, which very likely will become Imelda in the coming days as it moves northward. So very well nearing the Carolinas, likely to bring some rain off the coast of portions of Charleston, maybe Raleigh, looking at some heavy rain. But looking at that rain potential for the next few days, it's looking more likely that we could be looking at more of a flooding risk for North and South Carolina and even portions of the eastern coast of Florida as we head into Monday evening. So this system's going to start very quickly taking shape in the next 24 hours and it's continuing its northward movement. And once it remains over open water, away from all those islands that it's currently over, that's going to really strengthen as the water temperatures out in the Atlantic are in the upper 80s. And it only takes temperatures at 85 or higher to fuel that hurricane development, and that's what we're looking at with Humberto right now, as it's now a Category 5 hurricane. So the next name on the list is Imelda. That's likely to be the one that's going to potentially impact north of the Bahamas as it nears the East Coast U.S. We still have Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor, Olga, Pablo. We haven't been through most of the names on our 2025 Atlantic hurricane list, but as we look at that peak of hurricane season, we've just passed the peak. We're now September 27th, sort of going into the period where activity will start calming down, especially as we head into the month of October, even though it is still possible for some of these storms to still continue to be out across the Atlantic basin. So just to kind of recap what's going on right now in terms of the tropics, the good news is that there is no threat to southeast Texas or the Gulf, at least for the next 7 days, but we are tracking two storms that are going to potentially give us our next named storm, which is going to be Imelda. It's currently Tropical Depression 9. And then you have a high pressure system over the mid-Atlantic that's going to carry Humberto off into the northern Atlantic, just near the island of Bermuda. But looking at the tropical satellite imagery, once again, we have that very distinct eye, very powerful hurricane that is currently over the Atlantic. And when it comes with winds at 160 miles an hour, moving west-northwest at 10 miles an hour, Tropical Depression 9, once the center of this moves just north of the islands, that is going to start to fuel the activity and fuel that potential for it to become a tropical storm in the next maybe 24 to 48 hours. So Hurricane Humberto not posing a threat to any land masses. Only Bermuda likely really needs to be watching this storm as it continues its northward track. But it's Tropical Depression 9 that very well likely start meandering off closer towards the Carolinas, just off the coast. And there's still a lot of uncertainty when it comes to this system. Once we get past Monday and Tuesday, it's very well likely that it could stall just off the East Coast U.S. So all of our neighbors and folks that we know out in the Carolinas really need to be watching this system pretty closely in the next 2 to 3 days, as potential impacts from this system will very well likely be Monday and into Tuesday. That's when we're expecting to see it be a Category 1 hurricane. It may not be as strong as Humberto, but it very well could dump a lot of rain with this as the center of that system moves off across close to the Carolinas in the coming days. So looking at that rain potential as we head into the start of our week, likely could see between 6 to 8 inches of rain just off along the coast. But like I said, there's a lot of weather factors involved. There's Humberto that's definitely off across the mid-Atlantic. And then you also have a cold front that is expected to sag south across this area. And this could cause that system to stall just offshore the Carolinas. And so we are tracking that, of course, pretty closely as we head into the next few days. So next name on the list will be Imelda. That's likely going to be Tropical Depression 9. Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nestor. And that is the latest on what we're looking at in terms of the tropics as we head into the next few days. Activity is ramping up, and as always, we are keeping you up to date on the KHEU.com website and on the KHEU 11 app. Make sure to join us tonight on KHEU 11 News at 10 p.m. on KHEU 11 Plus.